Hello there and welcome back to my channel. I make several videos a week all about cruelty-free beauty, so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, I hope you'll please consider subscribing. Now, I think it was last week I saw Sarah Rose Beauty here on YouTube do a video like this, and I definitely took inspiration from her, where you just go through your entire makeup collection, and if you could only keep 5 palettes, which palettes would you keep? I will preface this by saying that a lot of these palettes that I picked out are unfortunately limited edition palettes. Some of them you can't get anymore. I think there might be one you can still get, but I didn't want to base my decisions on whether or not something was limited edition, just on what was already in my collection that I would keep if I had to let go of everything else. Now, believe me, I could do my top 10, top 15. There are definitely more palettes I have that I love, but I feel more connected with these 5 that I have right here, and I do have an honorable mention as well. Mostly because it can kind of go interchangeably with one of these palettes. Now, the first palette, if you've seen any of my past videos, this should come as no surprise. I absolutely love the ColourPop That's Taupe eyeshadow palette. I don't think you can go wrong with this palette at all. It's a perfect cool tone palette. I will say that this middle shade pulls a little bit more maybe on the neutral side, so you can always use that if you don't want to go maybe super cool tone. But this palette is just perfect for an everyday type of look. It's perfect for traveling because it's a little compact size. I'm really honestly surprised that I haven't hit pan on these 2 shades right here at least. There is a significant dent in them, so I'm hoping I can hit pan, but I would definitely keep this palette, and I would recommend this palette to anyone. Keeping with palettes from the drugstore, or well, more affordable I should say, since ColourPop's not necessarily sold at drugstores, the next one I would keep would definitely be the So Jaded palette, which was a collab with ColourPop and Kathleen Lights. Why they did not make this palette permanent, I will never understand. I mean, just look at these beautiful jewel tones, and I think this is a perfect palette where if you don't maybe like neon eyeshadows, but you want to play a little bit with color, I think jewel tones are definitely the palettes you should go for, and it's really a shame you can't get this one anymore. But as with all of these palettes I'm going to talk about that are no longer available, definitely check sites like Mercari if there is one that you are interested in. A lot of times you can find these palettes brand new on there that people are trying to sell, so that's definitely the place to look. But I would definitely keep this one, and this is the palette that I am wearing today in my intro here, and I will have a mini tutorial on this look at the very end of the video, so stay tuned for that if you're interested in seeing this look. And the next palette I would keep is definitely my Natasha Denona Pastel eyeshadow palette. I absolutely love pastel eyeshadows. They're so pretty. I love soft, dainty colors like this. They're perfect for spring, but honestly, I wear pastels year-round. They're just so pretty, and this is definitely the pastel palette in my collection that I would definitely keep. I do have another Natasha Denona palette to mention here. It's really my honorable mention palette from her, but I don't think you can go wrong with her palettes. I personally think they are worth the money, but I mean, I know that you probably could dupe these shades out with other brands, including more indie brands that maybe have some pastel shades. But to me, I do love her formula. I enjoy it. I think it's easy to work with personally, and I would recommend her palettes to anyone who was looking to splurge. The next palette I would keep is my Illumiage and Kathleen Lights palette. I just think Kathleen can do eyeshadow palettes. To me, she can definitely pick out really beautiful color schemes, and I believe this palette is still currently available, and it is the most perfect neutral palette. Everything you could ever want for an everyday look is in this palette. And of course, if you buy it, you can remove, so you can, there are stickers that go with it. I didn't ever put the stickers on mine. Apparently I'm very boring, but it's what's on the inside that counts for sure with this one, because these are very beautiful pigmented shades. They're easy to work with. I mean, these shimmer shades are absolutely beautiful. This is also more of a pricier palette, but honestly, I feel like it was worth every penny simply for the quality you get with this palette. Definitely one I would keep. Now, the next palette I would definitely want is my Urban Decay Wild Greens palette. I know this is a palette that I think there was a lot of polarizing thoughts on it. Some people really do like this palette and then others didn't. I personally love it because for me, I love lighter shades like this for myself personally. I do have very fair skin, so I do love the lighter shades in this palette, and this palette just screams spring to me. I love palettes that have like pinks and peaches and greens in them. They're usually palettes that I do gravitate towards. And the next palette I have is the honorable mention, and the reason why is because it reminds me so much of this one's color scheme. So I did want to just give it an honorable mention because this one and that one I feel could be definitely interchangeable. And that is the Natasha Denona Retro Glam Eyeshadow Palette. It also has these really pretty green shades and a couple of these pretty pinks. I just recently purchased this palette, but I've been using it about for every look I've done since I received it last week. I do have something different on today. I wanted to switch it up, but it is a very nice palette. It's beautiful, so it is definitely my honorable mention simply because it does remind me of this Urban Decay one for sure. Okay, we're going to go in with this shade right here, and I'm just taking that on a blending brush from e.l.f. and we'll start putting that right in the crease. It's honestly a real shame they did not make this palette permanent. It's such a beautiful palette. Okay, and then next I'm going in with this shade on an eyeshadow C brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to stamp that on my outer and my inner corner. I'm going to do a orangey, yellowy halo eye. Kind of stamping those two shades in first. Okay, and then going back to that first shade, I'm going to mix this shade and this shade together on that brush, which are the shades Citrine and Your Gem. I haven't been saying the names. I just dip back and forth into those two shades, and then I go around this more orangey shade with those two to blend it out. Then I'm going to go in with the shade My Precious on a blending brush from e.l.f. Take that and go even further around that shade to blend that out as well. And then I'm going to take Sunstone on my finger, and I'm going to put that right in the very center. And just kind of tap over those edges with that blending brush. Then I'm going to take the shade Moonstone and put that right over that shade. And same thing, take that blending brush and we'll go around the edges of that shimmer. Now I'm just going to do mascara and lashes and do the rest of my face, and I'll be right back to do the lower lash line. Okay, and the only thing I did was add in this pencil to my waterline. This is the ColourPop and rawbeautykristi gel liner in the shade Marigold. That's all I have in my waterline. So again, I'm going to mix Citrine and Your Gem on a blending brush from e.l.f. And I'm just going to run that on my lower lash line. And then I'm going to take a teeny bit of the shade Diamond and place that on my inner corner. And I'm just going to do some lower lash mascara, and this eye look will be all done. And there you have the finished eye look. But there are the top 5 palettes that I definitely would be keeping, along with an honorable mention that I just felt like I wanted to include. It was a lot of fun going through my collection and seeing really what I would pick. I mean, I know I could do probably a top 10, a top 15, top 20. I probably could easily pull out more palettes, but these were the ones that I ultimately gravitated to the most. They're not necessarily ones that I use every single day, but they are palettes that I really love, I really enjoy, and it is sad that the majority of them you can no longer get. I'm really not a fan of limited edition releases like that. I think that it should be permanent. Come on, these are beautiful palettes. They should be permanent. But that is the end of the video, and there are my top 5 picks along with an honorable mention. So I thank you so very much for watching. I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.